I have a theory, and I want to bounce it off you guys. So, how many people have played the game World of Warcraft? Specifically, how many people have played through the Wrath of the Lich King expansion? So, for the people that have never played World of Warcraft, we're going to do Spark Notes. That's aging me right there. Jesus. There's a character by the name of Arthas Menethil, right? He is the crown prince of a kingdom by the name of Lordaeron. Lordaeron is being besieged by the undead. Arthas does everything in his power to defeat the undead. He starts doing some unscrupulous shit as well in order to defeat the undead. But eventually, he gets clues as to where exactly he needs to go to gain a powerful weapon to defeat the undead once and for all. He goes to get the weapon. The weapon's name is Frostmourne. The second he touches Frostmourne, Frostmourne steals his soul. It's been a trap the entire time. He gets taken over by the Lich King as his #1 agent. Arthas returns back to Lordaeron. He lays waste to Lordaeron. He kills his father, and he basically becomes the undead regent of that area. Now, events occur. The Lich King becomes dangerously wounded, and Arthas has to go to where the Lich King is so that they can both fuse and become one being. Arthas and the Lich King fuse, and there occurs a mental battle, a war for who's going to control the main body. The spirit of the Lich King sits at a table with Arthas. Arthas kills the child version of himself, and as the Lich King begins to celebrate, believing that Arthas is about to acquiesce control of his body to him, Arthas runs him through with the sword as well and takes over main dominance of that body and of that form and goes off to become the Lich King. He sleeps for a really, really long time at Icecrown, way to the north, which is isolated for the most part from the rest of the world. When he reemerges into the world, he sends his undead minions to attack every single kingdom in the verse. The heroes of the kingdoms band together. They invade Northrend, which is where Icecrown is located. They fight all the way to the Citadel itself. They fight to the top of the Citadel, and then they defeat Arthas. But then, something happens. Upon the defeat of Arthas, the spirit of his father appears before that of the heroes. And he tells the heroes that without someone in control, without a being, a powerful voice to command the undead will become unrestrained and unshackled, and they will begin attacking everyone. They will begin turning everyone. It is at that point in time where a hero who had been injured during the campaign to defeat Arthas steps forward, Bolvar Fordragon, and he decides that he will become the jailer of the undamned. He takes the helm of domination upon his head. He becomes the new Lich King, and when he becomes the new Lich King, he essentially jails and locks down all of the undead in Northrend so that they don't run amok across the entire planet, devouring all life. Why did I just spend 3 minutes breaking down World of Warcraft Wrath of the Lich King? Because I believe that is the fate of Will Byers. I believe that that giant flesh wall that surrounds all of the Upside Down that we now know it to be separates the Upside Down physically and maybe metaphysically as well from Dimension X, where the Mind Flayer and the Mind Flayer's creatures and things also exist. Inside of the Upside Down, Henry Vecna has essentially created this powerful hive mind, this hive mind of demogorgons and smaller, dangerous creatures that are all now inside the flesh wall, and he's sending them out when he needs them to basically go out and destroy and eliminate his enemies, eliminate his targets. Upon his death, nothing is there to control the demogorgons anymore. The demogorgons have the ability to rip open space-time, to travel between dimensions at will, to feast whenever they want. If inside this flesh wall, and we're talking about a flesh wall that surrounds the entire scope of an entire city, there could be hundreds, thousands, hundreds of thousands of demogorgons inside this flesh wall. Not only that, but also these vine creatures that we're now encountering, and these other creatures as well that we've seen the doctor dissecting and working on inside of her lab. Once Vecna's gone, there is no longer a hive mind there to essentially control them, to tell them what it is he wants them to do. Lay low, stay, guard this, go attack that, go snatch those kids. With that gone, with that level of mental control gone, those creatures will just run amok. They fall back to essentially basic instinct: hunt, eat, sleep, poop, survive. And with demogorgons being able to jump in and out of reality, and we see just how durable they are against normal weaponry when it's not a giant fucking flamethrower, they'll be able to slaughter entire cities. Like entire nations will get wiped out by these creatures before they're even able to understand what's going on or even able to react. Demogorgons being able to rip open a dimension portal on a wall, jump through, and then attack an army from the rear, or rip open a dimension portal, jump through and grab someone and yank them through as well. There is no telling the amount of destruction and hell that demogorgons could cause. The fact that when they open up portals, those portals remain open for quite some time, allowing other creatures that we've never seen before to filter through, or to allow the vines to filter through and force the portal open and keep the portal open, like we kind of see with the major portal at the center of Hawkins currently. I think that Will's connection to the hive mind, the fact that he is now tapping in to Vecna's signal, Vecna's control, means that at the end of this journey, when they close the portal, if they even close, which I believe that they will, close that main portal, the threat of the demogorgons still exists. The threat of the other creatures attached to the hive mind still exists. Will has essentially two choices, as he is now basically both the prime receiver and the prime transmitter for the hive mind control besides Vecna. Once Vecna is defeated, either Will has to remain in the Upside Down to essentially contain all of the demogorgons and all of the other creatures that are attached to this hive mind that might just run amok and make it to the real world, or Will also has to die. Because we've seen before that when the signal to the hive mind is essentially broken, all of the smaller minions and creatures also stop living. They die as well. I believe that was in season 2. Yes, season 2, when the amalgamation that was the mind flare finally dies, everything that was attached to it also died as well. That could be the case here, where either Will has to take up that seat of power, where he has to take over control of the hive, and he becomes the new Lich King, he becomes the new jailer of the damned, and he can no longer leave the Upside Down because he has to contain all of these monsters. Or at the end of it all, in order for all these monsters to essentially die, the final receiver slash transmitter has to die as well, and that is going to have to be Will Byers. And the question basically becomes, who's the one that ends up having to put him down? And it's probably going to be like all of his friends. But let me know what you guys think about that. Comment down below whether or not I'm tripping, whether or not this little history dive into World of Warcraft was warranted in any way, shape, or form. Let me know, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.